0 to 60 can define a performance car, but it's the fastest 60 to 0 that's the aim of Tarok's brakes. From road cars to race cars, circuits, special stages, or the autostrada, nothing reduces speed like Tarok's brakes. Italy gave the world the art of Da Vinci and Michelangelo. Tarok's has given drivers the art of stopping. For more information and to acquire your own masterpiece, visit tarox.co.uk. Yes, it's me, Mike Stone, and this is the Backseat Driver Podcast. It's the fastest, it's the friendliest, and it's for all the family. The Gas Shocks 116 Trophy and 120 Coupe Cup are the fastest growing race series in the UK, taking in 6 one-hour races and 8 sprints at all the top circuits. Visit 116trophy.com to find out more and get yourself behind the wheel. I'd like to introduce to today's Backseat Driver radio show, Gez Parton. Now, the one thing I know about Gez, and the one thing I can tell you about Gez, is he enjoys his classic cars, his vintage cars, especially his Austin 7s. Gez, welcome to the Backseat Driver radio show.
Hello, Mark. Thank you.
Now, contrary to what a lot of people think, old cars are still capable of covering vast mileage, which is something you've recently proved. As you said, you've driven from your home near Worthing to John O'Groats to Land's End, back to your home near Worthing. I mean, how did all this come about? What inspired you to do this?
Well, there are 3 things that inspired me. Some people who know me have know I've got a place in France, in Brittany.
Yeah.
And I'm a member of the Ancient Vehicles of Breton, which is ABVA.
Yeah.
And they do a Tour de Bretagne every year, and it's 600 to 700 vehicles. It is amazing. Not
being funny, Gez, that is a serious number of vehicles.
Oh, yeah, and it's really well catered for. There's camping for everybody, there's marshals. All the routes are different each year, and it's just mind-blowing. Anyway, so that got cancelled last year because of COVID. It got cancelled this year because of COVID, so I thought, I've got to do something. I was just pulling my hair out, because normally I would go over to Brittany and do the Tour de Bretagne. Then there was, I've got my eye on a Model T Ford, which is really slow, but there was one for sale in Wick, which is about 15 miles south of John O'Groats.
Yeah.
So I emailed the guy and said, look, this is what I plan to do. If I go up on the train, buy your car, it was a 1927 Model T Ford, and then I'll drive it up to John O'Groats and then drive down to Land's End and then go to Worthing. And he said, well, you know old cars. I've taken it for 40 miles, been no problem. I've had it for 10 years, never given me any problems. But as soon as you drive off the driveway, there will be a major problem happen. It's sod's law.
Well, not being funny, it's like when you take your car to the garage with a fault, and as soon as you get there, the fault happily hides itself until you've got back home again.
Yeah, there is no fault, and the mechanic's looking at you thinking, what are you on?
Yeah.
And then the third thing was, I'm a member of the Austin 7 Friends website, and there was lots of debate about some of the older members have been on Land's End or John O'Groats, which isn't strictly a race, but it's, if you do it under 24 hours, you get a certificate, which is very good. But they did it in the 80s, 90s, noughties, and, well, that was 20-odd years ago now, so a lot of the older members, I don't mean that disparagingly to the older members, but that they don't want to do it anymore because it is quite a slog,
Well, it's a long way. I mean, it's a reasonably long way to go in a modding car, especially using the modding roads.
Well, I mean, fortunately, I didn't use any modern roads apart from the motorway. I only used Edinburgh crossing the bridge there.
Yeah.
and when I went from Chepstow to Bristol, I went over the old Severn crossing. So those are the only motorways I went on. But what was the third thing? There was a third thing. I can't remember what it is now. I get this every now and again.
It's called old age.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. I'm only 58. Yeah.
Oh, you're all right. You're all right. Perchance nobody knows. I've got 2 years on you.
Yeah. But so and the third. Well, hang on. Third thing. What was the third thing? That was the third thing. There was a lot of debate about doing the Land's End John the Groats, and people weren't interested. And I thought, well, it's something that I would like to do. I can tick it off my bucket list, so to speak.
Yeah.
So that's the only three things that sort of set me on the path towards John the Groats and Land's End.
Yeah.
And when I said to my wife about it, she said, "You're not expecting me to come with you, are you?" Well, no, not really. Because she likes me in an old car, but she doesn't like being in an old car because it's a bit drafty, and people point at them and wave at them, and I beat my horn and I'll wave at anybody that waves at me back, sort of thing. So
she likes to hide in the back seat, does she?
Yeah, but you haven't got much of a back seat in Austin 7. So.
Now, you were saying when you set off in your 1934 Austin 7 called Poppy, but you had to then revert to your 1936 7 called Josie. How did all this come about?
Well, I had planned to go in Poppy. Poppy is named Poppy because originally it was going to be called Sue, named after my wife. But she said, I don't want anything to do with an old crock. So it became Poppy because we live at Poppycroft, and there's lots of poppies around the house.
Yeah.
So it became Poppy, and I headed off on the Saturday. What date was it? On the Saturday the 22nd.
Yeah.
And my eldest son, his wife, and my grandson live in Radley near Oxford.
Yeah.
So I went there first, and then I left there on the Sunday morning and headed up towards Coventry, and I was using all the back roads, and it broke down, and it did sound like a bag of spanners.
Yeah. It was one of those that sounds expensive moments, was it?
Well, yeah, it's sort of like a sound I haven't heard before.
Yeah.
I better stop, because what I found with driving an old car any distance is that you think, oh, that rattle there, right, and you sort that out, and then there'll be another rattle appear somewhere else. So there's no point fixing rattles as you go along. But I digress. So I got into this lay-by, and I've been posting things on Facebook of my travels. So Rory Dunford up in Glasgow, he sort of, with him and me looking at it and posting a video of how the engine sounded, he said he reckons that's the front lip.
Right.
Now, the front lip on the crankcase holds the front bearing for the crankshaft. So when that goes, it rattles about all over the place. So,
yeah.
So that's what we diagnosed it as. So the insurance company that I'm with, RH Insurance, who have got a free recovery service. So phoned them up. Within a couple of hours, I was picked up by Gabriel and his low loader, and got back to Findon at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
No doubt with your wife stood outside rolling her eyes.
Yes, yeah. Like I told you break down. In fact, it only invariably breaks down when Sue sits in the car. But anyway, it's another story. So I then had a cup of coffee and talked with Sue about, what I was going to do. And she said, well, you've got three options. There's repair the engine, which would take at least a week, I think. there's get the engine. I've got a spare engine in the garage.
Yeah.
Because this is my hobby, so I've got a spare engine in the garage. So I can put that in and get Poppy running. Or you can get Josie from your sister's garage.
Yeah.
And
which can I point out is a 1936 Austin 7 and not a young lady.
That's it, yes, yeah. It was named after my youngest niece. So all my cars are named. I'm sorry, everybody, but, that's the way I am. So I got Josie out the garage. It's a Mark 1 Pearl, and it was running okay. So I did a quick service on it Monday morning, and then left Findon about 9:30 Monday morning.
Yeah.
And then off I went. So the first day, I travelled all the way up to York from Findon.
Well, not bad for one hit, really, is it? That's a reasonable distance.
I did stop off for coffee and hot cross bun at Windsor Castle.
Yeah.
And a few other places I stopped. It's always a point that when you've got an older car, you always, run it for an hour, 2 hours, then you check whether anything's fallen off, check the oil, and that sort of thing. So, that's the sort of thing I was doing.
Yeah.
So you just take your time. And then, because the roads were relatively quiet after like 6, 7 o'clock, they were relatively quiet. Because what I found is that most people travelling from A to B will go on the motorway, and they will miss the side roads.
Yeah.
So that's what I was doing. So I ended up in York at 9 o'clock. So yeah.
So were you staying in hotels, or were you camping, or what was your accommodation? Don't tell me you curled up in the back seat of it.
I did once. Normally, because my wife is very organised, and she would have organised that you get to this point and go to a hotel and book it all up. Whereas I'm a bit more. I might not make it to there, so in a hotel there. So just carry on running, and then all right. Well, we'll stop here. So most of the times I would just. Like when I got to York, it was like a case of there's a travel lodge, stop there. Have you got a room for the night? Yep, okay, and that's it. So I was there fine. The next stop was Edinburgh, and my youngest son and his girlfriend live in Edinburgh.
Yeah.
So I stayed with them for a couple of days, and the company he works for had got a hotel at Drumnadrocket, which was on Loch Ness, and so I stayed there for a night. And then I always take a tent and sleeping bag and blow-up mattress. And on the way back from John O'Groats, I stopped at Loch Fleet. And in Scotland, you can do wild camping.
All right, so you can just park up where you want to a degree.
Well, obviously, I think the law is that if you don't damage the land, then you're fine. So, I pitched my tent, and there was a lock in front of me. I looked out from the tent flap, and there was a mountain on the left. There was the lock in front, and then the setting sun on the right-hand side. And it was absolutely beautiful. There were a couple of camper vans. They came over and saw me, and really friendly, wanted to know the age of the car and where I've been and where I'm going and all that sort of thing. So I've pitched the tent, and then I find that I've left the sleeping bag and the blow-up mattress back home in the garage. But fortunately, I always carry a couple of blankets, so I was able to make up a sleeping bag out of blankets and warm my overalls and kept me warm, and it was, really good night's sleep.
Good.
But it does annoy my wife because I can sleep standing upright, so wherever I am, I can go to sleep. So, so most of the times it was hotels. Other times I was camping. When I got to Launceston, I looked on booking.com, I think it was, and all the hotels were 20, 30 miles away.
Yeah.
So I just put a request on Facebook, anybody in the Launceston area, can I camp somewhere, or can somebody put me up?
Yeah.
And again, Rory phoned his cousin's got a farm down there, so I stayed on the farm one night. Pitched my tent in this field, and that was it. So yeah.
So you carried on down to back down to Land's End from there, I conclude.
That's it. Yes. Yeah. On the way, well, the one failing I had was I'd forgotten that it was a bank holiday weekend.
Yeah.
So the traffic was quite high. When I got to Kendal, there was no rooms at all in any of the hotels.
Yeah.
So that was the night I ended up sleeping in Josie. So, but the way I looked at it, people have been conceived in Austin 7, so it must be a way of lying quite safely, and relaxed, and So I stayed one night at this picnic spot and just kept in the back of Josie. So it was good. Yeah.
So and then onwards to Land's End, I conclude, because you then have the pleasures of the narrow Cornish lanes and things like that, wouldn't you? Which are in many ways the natural home of the Austin 7.
Well, yes, yeah. Again, I mean, I did some of the blasts down the A30, but then some of the Cornish lanes are quite hilly, and it's quite a few inclines. I mean, it was quite an experience going down there. Land's End, John O'Groats was fine. You can get there, get to the post, take your own photo, or get one of the bikers to do your photo or whatever. But when you get to Land's End, it's £7 to park the car. Then the bloke doesn't believe you've driven it just from John O'Groats. then you can't get to the post. You have to pay 20 quid to a professional photographer to get your photograph taken. And it's a little bit of a disappointment, but very touristy, and I can understand why. They've got to make money from it, but
I mean, I have been to Land's End, and it is, yes, we all have to make money, but there's making money and there's, shall we say, it being well and truly stitched at times, isn't there?
Yes, yeah, I would have used another term, but you thought, blimey, that's, and then there was no car stickers, Land's End, John O'Groat car stickers, so, or John O'Groat's Land's End car stickers. So, I left there a bit disappointed. Cornish passes were like £5.5 quid. And I think, blimey, I'm sure they're not that expensive. But anyway. So,
if you'd have nipped in the local petrol station, you'd probably find they were a lot cheaper.
yeah, I know. Yeah. So, but, yeah, very good. And when I got up to Scotland, went from Edinburgh to Drumnadrochit near Inverness, and there was a guy there, John Mackenzie, and he lived on the Black Isle.
Oh, yeah.
And he's a keen Austin 7 follower, and I've been in contact with him on Facebook, and there's a bridge over, I can't remember the name of it, but there's a bridge that he wanted to take photographs of Josie going over it, so I managed to liaise with him, and he was at a high viewpoint and took some photographs of me and Josie, and then met up with him underneath the bridge at the RNLI station, and he bought me breakfast, and then I carried on.
Right.
Carried on up to Perth using the old side roads, and and then, before Inverness, I met up with Andrew Goodfellow at Blair Gowrie. Yeah. And his friend Paul and Paul's wife Sharon, and he was in the 1920, I can't remember the age of it, it's a little chummy. Yeah. And they took me, I met them in Blair Gowrie, and they took me over Braemar and Lecht and all the way to Tumental, and it was terrific. I mean, again, the weather was cloudy and sunny, and there was still snow on the mountains, and it was absolutely awesome. we went over Lecht, which is the highest UK public road.
Yeah.
And I mean, the roads were just terrific. Again, you had to, some of the hills I had to get down to second gear.
Yeah.
And I'm conscious that the chummy behind me has only got 3 gears, so he's down to first gear on some of the hills. But Andrew Goodfellow's got a very fast Ulster.
Yeah.
And so he was running ahead, overtaking us and taking pictures and videos as we go along the roads. And then he'd, overtake us again and take some more pictures. And so it was good fun. And he also presented me with a bottle of Glenkeith whiskey, so that was good.
Now, if you study your Facebook page, during the course of, it was 2,064 miles, which, given the roads that you were taking and the car you were driving, is a serious undertaking. Now, by the looks of it, you used 61.22 gallons of petrol, which I don't suppose is bad.
No.
2 oil changes, one for the engine and one for the gearbox, which equated to 11 pints of oil.
Well, no, it was a oil change on both the engine and gearbox at both times. So that's 11 pints. Yeah.
5 pints of oil for topping up.
Yeah, I think that was mainly due to leaks. I mean, Josie's 85 years old, so she's bound to be a little bit incontinent. And, I've also got an old Land Rover, and if you haven't got an oil leak on it, then it needs topping up.
Well, I was going to say, if an old Land Rover stops leaking oil, it's for the simple reason it's not got any oil left in it to leak.
It's run out, yeah. You talk to those that are in the Austin 7 fraternity, and there's a few of us that know that if you sort that oil leak out, there will be another oil leak somewhere else. So, there are certain people that want to make their Austin 7 engines completely oil tight, which is a good achievement, but I'd much rather drive than faff about.
Well, I think back in those days they didn't make engines to be oil tight, really, did they?
No.
And some of the seals that they fitted, it had sealed nicely for 2 or 3 weeks. After that, it reverted back to the seal that it had replaced. It leaked.
Exactly. Yeah.
Now, I also noticed you got through 4 Champion D16 spark plugs.
Yeah.
And you had a couple of new egg gaskets.
Well, when I stopped off at Glasgow and went from Erskine and went through and East Kilbride and joined the old A6, and I was travelling up the A6. And I thought, it's gone down on power a little bit. I mean, when it was up in Scotland, it was going through all these hills and fine, no problem. And then I was getting no spark on 2 and 3.
Yeah.
Cylinders, so I, being an electrician, thought, it must be the disc cap or the rotor arm, or So I've tried all these things. There's still no spark, and then I took the spark plugs out, and they were soaking wet.
Yeah,
and it didn't smell of petrol; it smelled of water. And I looked down the barrel, and sure enough, there's water in there. So that hence I was getting no spark.
Yeah.
So I had to change a head gasket on the side of the road, which luckily I'll keep spares anyway.
I was going to say, it's a true old car enthusiast that travels with head gaskets, spare ones.
Yeah, but I had head gasket, I had a carburetor, a distributor, fuel pump, fan belt, all these things, and gasket material and all the different gaskets and the head gasket, because it's something that could go. So,
how long does it take you to change a head gasket on an Austin 7?
Well, it takes about an hour. By the time you let everything cool down, you could do it quicker, but you've got to juggle the nuts around. When you undo them, they're bloody hot. But the first thing is drain the system, and then take the hose off the top, and then took the spark plugs out, and then just take the nuts. There's 14 nuts that you've got to undo.
Yeah.
So I put a new head gasket on, but I've since found out that I put a high compression head gasket on, so it didn't seal properly.
Yeah.
But that got me all the way back home to, well, it was about 10 miles from home.
Yeah.
And then it started running rough again. I thought, I know what that is. but I limped home, and I've since changed the head gasket, and yeah, it was... there was no damage to the head gasket, but it was letting by, so water was getting into, I think it was cylinder 3. So, yeah. But I've since changed it for a thicker, low compression head gasket, and it's, touch wood, it's working fine.
It's ready to do the journey all over again.
I wouldn't say that. No. People have asked me, what's the next challenge? I have no idea. I don't think I'll get furloughed for a couple of weeks to do that again. So, I'm not sure.
I mean, roughly, what horsepower does Josie generate?
Well, Josie generates about between 12 and 13 horsepower. So, some people's starter motors are more powerful. But it's, it'll cruise all day, 35, 40. When it goes uphill, it'll be down to 20. When it goes uphill, it's down to 20. When it goes downhill, it can be up to 50, Yeah. So, and if it falls over a cliff, and terminal velocity is 120 mile an hour. But
yeah.
Don't want to try that.
But given the famous Austin 7 braking system, you won't want to be going tremendously fast in an Austin 7, because there could, of course, come the time when you need to slow down, and they are notorious for not slowing down particularly well.
No, well, you've got your foot pedal, which operates all 4 brakes, but also you've got your handbrake as well, which operates all 4 brakes. So if you're not applying enough pressure on your foot, you can always grab hold of the handbrake and stop the car, but you don't want to stop them too quickly, because, again, they got spoke wheels. So,
yes. So,
yeah.
I mean, what is it about the Austin 7? I mean, we were saying before we went on air that many a vintage car enthusiast or an old car enthusiast, and you mentioned somebody you knew and somebody that I know, they have Bentleys, they have Rileys, but they nearly all have an Austin 7. What is the fascination for the Austin 7?
Well, I think a lot of the time it's the fact that they're easy to work on, and they're also a reminder of a lot of people had them in the 60s, 50s, 60s and 70s, and they were like student cars. You could pick them up for 5-15 quid sort of thing. It wasn't until the MOT arrived in, I think it was 66, that people used to use them. And then, I mean, you see some of the pictures, and the tyres are bald.
Yeah.
And they're not just bald, they're down to the canvas, and they're still driving them. And there was just so many things, easy to work on, easy to repair. You could go down the scrap dealer and buy a complete engine, In fact, I think it was a Gloucester Meteor jet engine. The 2 of the guys went down to the local scrap dealer, bought 2 Austin 7 engines, and made one good one out of it to start the first jet engine. But yeah, and there's all these stories about this came into fruition because of their love for Austin 7s and making it simple. I mean, it is an easy car to work on. Some of the things can be a bit fiddly, but that's part of it. So.
And the other thing is the Austin 7. I mean, there were the Austin 7 Ulsters, there were the, shall we say, the purpose-built racing cars, but many an Austin 7, when its saloon car bodywork had given up the ghost, people took it off and put a 2-seater Ulster lookalike on. And, I mean, if you go to any vintage sports car club event, the Austin 7s are there in vast numbers. They still make cracking little racing cars.
Exactly. There's a 750 Motor Club which deal with the sports side of it, and in the 50s and 60s you could get a glass fibre handling body to go on an Austin 7 chassis. There's a Pathé newsreel of somebody taking it didn't look too bad actually, Austin 7, and then just ripping the doors off and the body off, and put it within a week they got this handling body on it, and it did look nice, and you could get different sort of racing wheels. I mean, Colin Chapman started with an Austin 7, making it lighter, just add lightness, and that was it. He was, drilling out flywheels and chassis members and all sorts of stuff, and McLaren as well. He was racing Austin 7s, so and you can still get Ulster bodies. You can still get made of aluminium. Others made of fiberglass. There's a guy in Worthing, Chris Gould. He still makes. I think they're Imp, which are based on like a Nippy, that sort of style. But with a bigger boot and that sort of thing. So they are very easily adaptable. And that even now, you look on Facebook and, this is my latest project, and somebody's made a van, but with a demountable van body, so they can use it as a special racer as well. So,
I've even seen them at certain race meetings with plywood bodies. The front of it, the bonnet, etc's there, but from the bulkhead backwards, they're plywood.
Exactly. Well, even Austin himself, he realised that if you exported a car fully built, you had to pay import duties, so he would send off chassis and engines and wheels to Australia, and they would put their own body on it. So that's how Holden became in Australia, and then they would send them to Germany to a company called Dixie, and they would put their own body on it. And Dixie became part of the BMW motor group.
Yeah, that's one of the things that BMW owners tend to be, shall we say, somewhat surprised about if they haven't looked at the history, that their beloved Repmobile actually started life as an Austin 7.
Austin 7. But the other thing is they also own Mini now, the Mini collection, and the Minis, when they first came out, were called Austin 7s in homage to the Austin 7.
Yeah.
In the 60s, and then he would send the chassis and engines and wheels to Rosengart in France, and they would put their own body on. In America, again, it was the American Austin, or Bantam they were called. But so he was well versed sending them everywhere, and people putting their own bodies on. In fact, Swallow Sidecars started making their own.
They certainly did.
Bodies. And Swallow SS wasn't a good name to have after the Second World War, so that became Jaguar.
Yeah.
So they started making, some very nice, very stylish bodies on the Austin 7 chassis. And I think you need another joint between the knee and the ankle to get in. But, they are quite snugly fitting, let's put it that way. But very nice cars.
Now, besides the two Austin 7s, what else? Just very quickly, what else have you got?
Well, I've got a 1962 Series 2 Land Rover.
Yeah.
Which, when I rebuilt that quite a few years ago, everybody had green Land Rovers, so I painted it white with black lines. So it's like the Dictari sort of zebra stripes.
Now there's a ray from the grave. I can remember watching Dictari as a kid.
Yeah. And that's called Lola. That's named after my eldest niece. I've also got a 1927 Renault NN.
Oh right, very nice.
Yeah, which is slow as anything. It's only a 950cc engine, but it's a big body.
Yeah.
And it's convertible, so that's good. And that's called Libertine, named after my grandsons.
Right. So, and just out of interest, did you get the Model T Ford?
No. I do like the history of it, and but no, I haven't got room to park up a Model T Ford. They are very, very tall, and my wife won't let me. So, as it is, I mean, she's a bit annoyed that she can't park her car on the driveway. All my cars parked up the driveway and covered over, and got a carport. So no, I haven't bought a Model T Ford.
So she must dread you coming home with the latest classic car magazines, and you're looking at the classifieds in the back of them.
Well, and eBay and Car and Classic, and even the French sites Le Bon Coin, and I'm always looking at old cars. So I have found that there is a Model T place up near where my son lives in. Near Oxford at Whitney, and I've always fancied popping in there, but I'm usually too busy. Just
for a look. I mean, the favourite thing is I'll call in here just for a look.
Just for a look, yeah. I rate my marriage far too highly.
But, I mean, the other thing is, as well, as time's going on, I used to review modern cars as part of my livelihood, but modern cars now actually bore me. And the more I spend time with classic cars and vintage cars and old cars as a whole, I just find them far more interesting and engaging and everything else. I know they have their faults, but, I mean, there is just something about old cars and classic cars, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, the good thing with an Austin 7 is the fact that you can work on it in a standard-sized garage. I haven't got a big, fancy garage with pit and, engine hoist and that. I left the engines and gearboxes in and out, by hand.
Yeah.
Just the way it is. And you've got that mixture of oil and water, and if things go right, the smell, but, and the petrol, and, it really, really does. And I think a lot of the older designs were a bit more quirky, like, the Model T Ford no gear lever. It was all done by foot pedals.
Yeah.
And your accelerator was on the steering wheel, and, advance and retard and that sort of thing. So there's a different way of learning how a car drives and anticipating and driving. I mean, that's the thing. You realise the Austin 7 brakes aren't 100%, but you can make them 95%, and that'd be no problem at all. And with the modern coatings for the brakes, they do stop, but they're not as good as, there's no ABS fitted, there's no no aids to help you stop. You are anticipating and driving, and right, I'm going to slow down for this junction because I know it's a bugger. But so you the actual feeling of driving, and especially if you break down, the amount of if I'd stopped in a modern car, then people would just carry on past, But as soon as they see it's an 85-year-old car, side of the road, the bonnet's up, bloke's got his overalls on, can I help? There was, where I stopped to do the head gasket, there was a farm round the corner. He said, if you need a hand, got a workshop round there with all the tools. I said, have you got Whitworth? He said, probably haven't got Whitworth, but, it's little things like that. Josie's also been to Brittany, and I broke down going to the French house from St Malo, and basically the gear lever snapped.
Yeah.
And so again on Facebook, what ideas have people got? And somebody said, get a pair of mole grips, put it on the stump that's left, and you can use that and change gear, which is fine. But the mole grips fouled the bulkhead, so I couldn't get first gear or third gear, so I was second and fourth. Stopped at this place, Pontreux, and lovely little, quaint little French town, and I park outside the mairie and just going to have a cup of coffee, and there were loads of people there, and and I explained, where I was going to, where I come from, and what I was doing. But I've got a slight problem. And this French guy said, "You can still drive?" I said, "Yeah, I can still drive." He said, "Well, you follow me. I've got a welding set at home."
Yeah.
Anybody else, it would have been, right, okay, phone up the AA or whomever, and Green Flag or RAC. And, so we went back to his house and welded up the gear lever, put it in, went to give him some money, 20 euros, I think it was. He said, no, you just phone me that you've got home all right. Really nice as pie. And you meet so many people. I mean, so I met Andrew and Paul and Sharon up in Scotland. Was in contact with Rory. I was due to meet him, but he was on the other side of the country or whatever. I met Roland down in just south of Kidderminster. He was in the 33 PD Tourer and escorted me down towards Gloucester. When I got to Gloucester, I met up with Tina and John, who had been following me on Facebook. I didn't realise. And they said, "Oh, well, we live 5 minutes down the road. Can we come and have a drink and just meet you and talk to you?" I said, "Yeah, fair enough, everybody's been helpful. Even the drivers on the road have been really helpful. Because, when you're travelling along the A68 and it is like a roller coaster road, brilliant road, but you've got Stonewall on the left and Stonewall on the right, no lay-bys, no nothing, and it's very difficult to overtake. But most people were, I'd say 99.9% of people were, give you plenty of room and overtake, and really, really good. The state of people on the road, even in modern cars, they come across an old car and it's like, got to overtake. Oh, yeah, it's not safe to do so yet, but they were really good. So I can't fault on the modern drivers. I think it would create so much paperwork anyway.
Gez Parton, Gez Parton. We could probably carry on for another hour at this.
Oh yeah.
Can I thank you for joining me on the Backseat Driver Radio Show? It's been absolutely fantastic chatting to you. And anybody who wants to follow you, Gez Parton, GezParton. Look for him on Facebook. He will be there with Josie and Poppy. Once again, Gez Parton, thanks so much for joining me on the Backseat Driver Radio Show.
Rarely beaten on price, never beaten on service. Whether it's cars, bikes or commercials, Hoddy Tyres are the best in the business. And when it comes to tyre expertise and advice to supplying the correct tyres for your vehicle's specific requirements, nobody comes close to David Lakin and the Hoddy Tyres team. So give them a call on 01200 613 192 or visit the website at hoddytyres.co.uk.